What's going on, guys? Nathan here. Today we're going to talk about the 5 poker hands that you might be playing wrong. These are the top 5 hands that my students in particular consistently play wrong at the poker tables. It costs them a lot of money and it might be costing you money as well. So without any further ado, let's jump into it, counting down from 5 to 1. Here we go. All right, so hand number 5, guys, is Ace King. Now the first thing you need to know, guys, is that Ace King is not a drawing hand as a lot of people like to think. It is instead the nut no pair, and what I mean by that is that when you have Ace King, if anybody else at the table does not have a pocket pair, for example they've got Ace Jack or King Jack or 10-9, you by default have a better hand, because we're always looking for the best 5 card hand in poker. And when you start with the 2 highest cards, Ace and King, you're already at a significant advantage. So let me give you an example here. You raise it up pre-flop with Ace of Hearts, King of Clubs, and a regular calls you. So the flop comes down with the 9 of diamonds, 6 of spades, and 3 of spades. What should you do? Well, guys, if you've seen my videos here on the channel before, you already know that I would strongly suggest making a C-bet here, which stands for continuation bet. You are continuing on the aggression that you've already built before the flop by raising, and now we're going to apply additional pressure to them on the flop here. And the reason why, guys, that we want to be doing this is basically just because of what I just said. We are ahead of any unpaired hand on this board. In fact, we are way ahead of Ace Queen, Ace Jack, King Queen, King Jack, or Queen Jack. These are all hands that players will routinely call us with before the flop, and when it comes with a harmless flop like a 9-6-3, all of these hands are way behind our Ace King. So guys, the key takeaway here is to recognize that Ace King is one of the strongest hands in the game, and even if you don't hit the flop, there is a very good chance that you still have the best hand. So you want to play this hand accordingly. Make a strong bet and play like you have pocket aces here. Let's move on to hand number 4 that everybody plays wrong these days, and that is pocket sevens. Now guys, the thing you need to know about pocket sevens is that this hand can win unimproved. A lot of people think that they need to hit a set, that there needs to be a 7 on the flop in order to win a big pot with pocket sevens, but that simply is not the case. Let me give you an example. Once again, you've got 2 red sevens, a 7 of hearts and 7 of diamonds, and the flop comes down with the King of Hearts, 4 of clubs, and deuce of spades. So a fish bets into us here. What should you do? Well guys, this is a classic spot where you just want to be calling. There's not really any point in raising here. This is a huge mistake that I see, especially with my students, is they'll make a raise here. The reason why you don't want to raise here, guys, is that you're only going to get action when they have the king, and when they're just bluffing here with a hand like Ace 8, for example, you're just going to make them fold. So I hope you can see the logic. There's no benefit for us in raising here, but there's also no benefit for us in folding, because we know that they have plenty of bluffs in their range, like a 10-9, like an Ace 8, as we just mentioned, and therefore what you want to do is just call in these situations to keep those hands in the pot while we're still way ahead. Let's move on to the third hand that everybody plays wrong these days, and that is Jack 10 suited. Now guys, it does not matter if it is Jack 10 of hearts, Jack 10 of spades, Jack 10 of clubs, Jack 10 of diamonds. What you need to understand about suited connectors like this, guys, is that they are not a top pair monster. When you hit top pair with these hands, guys, it does not mean it's time to party, celebrate, and go all in. This is the biggest mistake that people make. So let me give you an example once again. You call pre-flop with Jack 10 of hearts. Flop comes down with the 3 of hearts, 10 of clubs, and 7 of diamonds. They make a bet, you call. So guys, in a situation like this, similar to the previous hand, there's not really any point for us to be raising in this situation, because we're often only going to get action from better hands like a pocket jacks, a pocket queens, an ace 10, for example. And of course, there's no point in us folding either, because we do still have top pair, but it is important to understand the real strength of our hand in this situation. And what I mean by that is understanding that we have a good but not great hand. So the turn comes with the King of Spades, and they bet again. What should you do? Well guys, this is the point where a lot of people make a mistake. They go ahead and make a call again here. Guys, what you want to do versus any competent player in this situation is you need to be folding your hand here. Decent players, when they double barrel you here, and that's what they've done here, they've raised pre-flop, they've bet the flop, and now they're betting the turn. This is called a double barrel in poker, and it is an extremely strong play, and basically what they're representing here, guys, is a hand like pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket jacks, ace 10, king 10, queen 10, king queen, or king jack. All of these hands have you absolutely crushed on this board. Guys, the key takeaway here is to always remember that with suited connectors like this, you are not calling preflop or raising preflop in order to try to hit top pair. It's good if you hit top pair, but you don't want to play a massive pot. With hands like this, you're really looking to hit a flush, a straight, two pair, trips, something of that sort. Guys, always remember with hands like this, when you hit top pair, you want to play a small pot. If somebody is trying to force you to play a big pot, like in this situation, this is often a spot where your hand is no good and you want to be just folding. All right, guys, let's move on to the number 2 hand that everybody plays wrong these days, and that is king jack. Guys, this hand is literally the most misplayed hand in all of poker. If I had a dime for every time one of my students lost a big pot with this hand, I would be very, very wealthy, no doubt. So let me give you an example. Once again, you raise it up pre-flop with the king of spades and the jack of diamonds, and the flop comes down with the queen of hearts, jack of clubs, and 9 of diamonds. So not a bad spot here. You decide to make a bet, but they come in for the raise. What on earth is going on here, guys? Well, I'm going to tell you straight up in this spot, guys, that versus a tight player, you should absolutely be folding your hand here. And the reason why, guys, is because when a tight player raises us on this highly coordinated board and we only have middle pair, our hand shrinks tremendously here. They are representing a range of hands that has us absolutely crushed on this board. Let me run down that range of hands for you. This is going to be hands like pocket aces, pocket kings, ace queen or king queen, which both have top pair on this flop, ace jack, which also has middle pair, but it has a higher kicker than you, queen jack for 2 pair, jack 9 for bottom 2 pair, king 10 for the flop straight, or 10-8 for the flop straight. They could also have pocket queens, pocket jacks, or pocket 9s on this board for 3 of a kind. Guys, I hope that this rundown basically gives you an idea that we have like the 13th best hand on this board. And this is really the mistake that a lot of people make, is that when they hit a strong pair with a hand like king jack, is they immediately think that they've got a monster. Guys, you don't. When a tight player, somebody who doesn't screw around, is trying to play a big pot, like we just saw with the jack 10 suited, this is often a clear indication that your hand is beat, especially on one of these highly coordinated boards like this where there's a lot of straight possibilities, 2 pair possibilities. So guys, be careful with a hand like king jack. While it's great if you hit top pair, it doesn't mean that you want to play a big pot, get all your money in the middle, because often if you're up against a competent player, they're going to have one of these dozen or so hands that are much better than yours. All right, guys, let's move on to the number 1 hand now that everybody misplays, and that is ace rag. And ace rag in poker is any hand like an ace 2 offsuit, ace 3 offsuit, ace 4 offsuit, any hand like this. And when I say offsuit, I mean that the cards are 2 different suits. So for example, an ace of hearts and a 3 of spades. Guys, what you need to understand about these hands is that they are largely pure trash. These are hot garbage. Let me give you an example. You call pre-flop with the ace of hearts, 3 of spades, and the flop comes down with the ace of clubs, 5 of spades, and 10 of diamonds. Not a bad spot. A lot of amateurs look at this board and they want to start throwing a party. They want to start celebrating. We got top pair. This is amazing. So they make a bet. You make the call. Let's go see the turn. Turn comes with a 9 of hearts. So they make another bet here. But you know, our amateur poker player friend is still like, well, I still have top pair here. I got to make the call again. Guys, the river comes down with the 6 of diamonds. You already know they're going to make another bet. You're going to call and you're going to end up losing a massive pot versus a hand like ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, or 10-9. Guys, this in a nutshell here is the problem with ace rag hands. They have a bad kicker, and therefore if you're up against any kind of competent player, if you hit top pair and they also hit top pair, you're just setting yourself up for disaster, because they're going to show up with one of these hands that is significantly ahead of you, that basically has a better kicker, and you're basically looking to hit your 3 and there's only 3 more 3s left in the deck. We don't need to be a math genius to understand that those are not going to come around very often. So guys, I'm not saying to never play ace rag hands like this. Yes, if it's folded to you on the button or in the small blind, for example, you definitely should try to steal the blinds or to raise the big blind if you're in the small blind. But in most cases, whether it's in a tournament or a cash game, you should not be playing these hands. You just want to be folding pre-flop. Guys, do not make the mistake of misplaying these 5 hands like so many other players. All right, guys, like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And by the way, if you want to know my entire strategy to crush the small and mid-stakes games with all 169 hands in No Limit Texas Hold'em. Make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. All the best at the poker tables.